Hello, Commanders, and welcome back to Elite Dangerous Return from Beagle Point. Today, we're going to be talking about that immortal saying, if you're doing something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. But before we hop into that, I'd like to go ahead and do my standard welcome to all the new viewers who are just joining the series right now. We've been returning from our long trip way out here to Beagle Point. We're heading all the way back over here to the bubble where we started. We're getting really close to Sagittarius A-star, the halfway point to getting back, and I'm really looking forward to that because we're going to be able to sell off all of our data. The point of this journey was to increase our exobiology rank up to the status of elite, and I'm hoping we've gotten that done by now. We won't know until we sell off our stuff, but we're working to try to get to that. As well as a secondary goal of hopefully using all of the money that we get from that to purchase a fleet carrier and then take all of our ships and all of our stuff back out into the black to just kind of stay out there indefinitely and enjoy having the fleet carrier and doing some cool stuff, and maybe bring some people along for the ride if they'd like to tag along. So yeah, today's topic, as I said, is I don't know. I don't want to say it's one that kind of bugs me or rubs me the wrong way, but it kind of does, because the reality of that, the reality behind that saying is just, it's not one that you would gravitate towards, because it's one of those things that sounds great when you say it, but then life hits you in the face and you realize that it's just not something that's actually, it's not true in the way that it's stated. So I kind of want to go through the concept itself and break it down in a way that hopefully will make it easier for more people to kind of get a hold of the actual meaning behind it, rather than the kind of surface level thing that most of us take away from something like that. So one of the things in life that I think we all are really trying to get towards is fun. And unfortunately, fun is just one of those things that is almost never going to be something that adds to your life in any meaningful way. And what I mean by that is that, yeah, you're going to get some emotional equity out of that. But as far as, cold, hard reality of, making your life better in some kind of meaningful way, the reality is that fun is almost never going to be something that is going to contribute to that aspect of your life. And it kind of sucks, but it just kind of is the way that it is. High metal. We're looking for high metal content worlds to see if we can find any biological features up there in the top right of the screen. So just keep an eye out on that while we're doing that. And, if you think about it, it kind of makes sense that that's the way that it is. Anybody who's experienced the world in any kind of serious way understands that making things happen in a way that is beneficial to you requires a lot of hard work and effort. It requires effort. And most of the time, fun is not going to be something that requires a lot of effort. It's going to be something that provides you with a sense of enjoyment. And, there's going to be some argument against that, and let me try to dissuade that right now. You may do things that are difficult, and when you're done with them, you may consider them to be fun, because you're considering the result that you're feeling from achieving that as being fun. But while you're in the middle of it, rarely do people find difficult things enjoyable while they're doing it. The sense of accomplishment that they feel when they're done may be enjoyable. They might find that part of it very fun, but almost everybody is going to have to go through some kind of, I don't want to be doing this right now process, even if it's just a little bit, to get to that part of, now I've gotten to the fun part. Fun is a great thing, but we have to understand that even though fun is one of the primary things that we're seeking pretty much during our entire lives, the reality is that the fun itself is almost always a result of hard work, or it's something that's just wasting time. Or I don't want to say wasting time, it's just something that's occupying time. Work is just going to be one of those you have to accept the fact that work is going to be one of those things that you're going to have to deal with for the rest of your life, no matter what you're doing, unless you're lucky enough to be super crazy rich person and you can have other people do your work for you. You know, you're going to be working for your entire life. If you're going to do anything meaningful, you're going to be working. You're going to be doing something with your life that requires some kind of effort, and it's going to require you to expend that effort in a way that you wouldn't choose to if you didn't have to. And I think that's kind of a really good definition of the word work. You know, we use the scientific version of the word work is just, you know, expending energy to get something done. But in a social / personal context, you can consider work to be anything where you're not doing what you would choose to be doing, And, you know, even if you're pursuing a hobby that you really enjoy, if there were easier ways to get it done that didn't require you to put in, you know, the level of effort that you had to put in, I think almost anybody would be like, well, yeah, I'm going to choose the easier route so I can get to the happy, fun part much faster and with less effort and with less frustration. Because that's just, you know, that's the way that we are as people, and that's just the way that nature is in general. I mean, there's a lot of people who have a problem with the idea of, you know, people being lazy, but I mean, even in nature, everything seeks the path of least resistance. That's just the way that the universe works. I mean, energy itself is always looking to go to the place, like, is always trying to spread itself out into places where there's less energy because it's looking for the path of least resistance. That's just the way that things are, and we're no different. You know, we've evolved to a point where we understand that if we suck it up and do the hard stuff, the rewards are potentially much greater than if we just sit on our butt and do nothing and we just, you know, try to find the easy way out. But our instinct is always going to be to find the quick and easy path to whatever it is that we're trying to do. And of course, I didn't quite stay in there long enough, so let's pop back in. Unfortunately, there we go. Unfortunately, the neutron stars are always like flinging you about, so I wasn't trying to leave the cone. It just kind of works that way. So, you know, we're always looking for the easy way to get to fun, to get to happiness, to get to whatever it is that we're trying to get to. We're always going to be looking for whatever the easiest way to go. And, you know, one of the realities of life is that you're going to be grinding things out quite a lot. There's no getting around it unless you are one of the very, very, very few lucky people who were born into or happened upon something that placed you into the realm of being super rich and being able to, you know, have other people do that grind for you. The grind's going to be done one way or another, whether it's you or somebody else, and, you know, some people can afford to pay other people to do that grind for them, and the rest of us just have to suck it up and grind it out, and that's just the way that it is. There is no getting around the fact that, you know, work is going to be there forever. It's never going away. It's going to be something that's a part of your life no matter what you do, and, you know, the best you can kind of hope for is that, I don't know why I'm looking at these icy bodies, we need to move on. The best that you can hope for is that you get little moments of joy, little moments of happiness in the midst of all the grinding work effort that you're trying to do. Don't worry, there's a positive spin at the end of this, so it's not all just doom and gloom. But, you know, you have to face the reality of things before you can get to a place of acceptance and then find contentment. So we'll get there. But, you know, one of the things that really resonated with me is the idea that, you know, we're always seeking happiness and joy and contentment, but the reality of life is that you get moments of that stuff. We're always seeking this constant state of euphoria and, you know, being in a place where we're constantly feeling happy and content, but we're not able to do that. That's just not something that we are capable of doing. Even if we somehow had everything that we wanted, the reality of the situation is that we are inherently configured to seek the next thing. You achieve a goal, you're happy for a little bit, and then you're ready to move on to whatever the next goal is that you have. Because we are not creatures that are content to rest in the place that we are. We are creatures that are destined to continually push and push and push and try to find something new. And that's just the way that we've always been. It's the way that we're always going to be, unless we find some way to genetically, you know, program that out of ourselves. So, you know, even if you do find whatever it is that you're trying to get to, that's not going to lead to lifelong happiness. It's just not. That's because we're not capable of sitting back and just letting that be a thing. Rare is the person who is, you know, able to truly achieve a goal and then stop and then be okay with where they are. You know, they might convince themselves that they're happy, but in reality, what's that? Biological one. We want to find at least 2 of those. But in reality, you know, anybody who thinks that they're content where they are is just fooling themselves. We're not capable of that. You know, very rarely are we capable of that. We're going to go ahead and head over to this one and see what we can find there. The rest of these are icy bodies. Is this close enough for us to actually land on? Yeah, let's go do that. We'll find ourselves a couple of biological features. Rare is the person who is able to be truly content in wherever it is that they are. Now, that's not saying that you can't be content for a while. Like, you may spend years of your life being content, but you're eventually going to get to the point where, you know, you're not happy anymore. And one of the things that makes life worth living, and as hard as it is for even me to accept, is the fact that, you know, you have to have goals for your life. If you're not moving towards something, then the complacency that you start to feel starts to turn into hopelessness because you feel like your life isn't going anywhere. You have to have something that you're moving towards to feel like you're progressing in your life so that your life feels like it still has some kind of meaning. Because if you've done all of the things that you told yourself you wanted to do and there's nothing left, then what are you still here for? What's the point? Why are you continuing to grind out every day if there's nowhere for you to be, if there's nowhere for you to go? You know, we like to think that if we can just get this one thing, then everything will be okay. But the reality is that even that one thing is eventually going to turn into the chains that prevent you from, you know, moving on to the next phase of your life or whatever it is. The thing that you dreamt about, the thing that you worked so hard to get, the thing that you finally have in your hands eventually becomes the thing that is holding you back from whatever, you know, whatever the next thing in your life is, if you allow it to become an anchor in your life. And that's just one of those things that, you know, most of us don't really consider. We're so consumed on whatever goal that we have that we make it this massive thing that's just so important, and we think that if we can just get there, then everything will be okay. But the reality is that that's just a stepping stone in your life. And one of the things that, you know, will make life feel a lot more, you know, meaningful and, you know, filled with accomplishment is if you take whatever goals you have and start turning those into smaller, more achievable goals, because it's much easier to, you know, focus on steps to getting to your ultimate goal rather than, you know, holding this really high level, you know, takes forever to get to goal up on a pedestal, and then, you know, years later you still haven't achieved it, and you're feeling like it's just never going to happen. Well, that's because, you know, it takes a long time to get some of these. Ooh, we might be making a lot of money here. That's probably going to be Stratum Tectonicus, since it's only a 2-species planet. Let's move over to this side, so that way we can be on the light side, and then we'll hop down and find us some Stratum Tectonicus and some bacterium. So, hold on, I'm focusing here, trying to make sure I'm getting a decent landing approach angle and speed and all of that. I think let's go like this, and then we'll pull up to get the proper angle. I want to try to get on one of these long strips here so that I have some decent room to move around in.
Orbital flight engaged.
Okay. So yeah, like I was saying, breaking your major goals up into smaller goals will, you know, help you feel like you're actually progressing towards whatever it is that you're doing. But, you know, feeling that, unfortunately, as feeling creatures, it's just one of those things where you have to kind of try to hack your mind to the point where, you know, you're tricking yourself into feeling like you're getting something done. And, you know, it sounds sad to say it that way, but that's just kind of the way that we are. We have to fake ourselves into accepting life sucks, and you're going to have to put up with work and all of these other things that you don't really want to have to deal with. But that's part of the deal. You know, it's part of what we have to put up with as, you know, people trying to make it through. And that is what it is. But it does help to have some kind of a goal, of a major goal that you then break down into, you know, smaller, more easily achievable goals. And, you know, it's one of the best pieces of advice I think that a lot of people can receive is just, you know, get small Ooh, what? Are we in another big planet? I don't think so. I was about to say, are we on another heavy gravity planet? Jeez. Okay, so yeah, this is definitely stratum tectonicus. So we just need first footfall, which this close to the center of the galaxy is not necessarily guaranteed. So, you know, the main theme I'm trying to get to for this particular episode is that you are always going to be working. You know, you might find something that you really like. You might find something that gives you a sense of accomplishment or gives you a sense of, you know, whatever feeling it is that you're looking for. But you're always going to be working, and it really kind of just depends on how you deal with that fact. Coming to a sense of acceptance of the fact that whatever it is that you're doing, no matter where you are in your life, unless you're one of those, you know, 0.01% of people or 0.1% of people or whatever it is that's able to just, you know, foist all of those things off on somebody else, you're gonna have to put up with a bunch of unpleasant things that you don't want to do. And even those people have to put up with something. Nobody gets out of it. It's just, that is what it is. And the faster you come, and the earlier in your life you come to accept that, and the more you start to, you know, adjust your attitude towards, you know, doing the things that you hate to do and just accepting the fact that it's a part of what you have to do, the faster you're going to get to the goals that you've set for yourself. Because the only way you get to those goals is by doing the work. It's just the way that it is. And so, you know, like I said, there is a positive spin to what I've been saying, and it is that the saying itself isn't necessarily true in the way that it's stated, but it does have some meaning in that, you know, if you pursue things that you want, you're going to minimize the amount you're going to minimize to some extent the amount of, you know, frustrating ridiculousness that you have to put up with, because you know, you're going to change your attitude to the place where you accept that that's a part of the life that you're going to have that you're living, and you got to deal with it. And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, my thrusters are not responding in the way that I kind of hoped that they would, but it is what it is. And you know, that's a part of it, just accepting the fact that you're going to have to put up with the crap that the world throws at you, but just also the fact that if you can find something that you love to do, then hopefully that will offset some of the negative stuff that you have to deal with. Because again, you're going to have to work for the rest of your life. You're never going to be able to get all of the crap out of your life, but you can try to maximize the great stuff and hopefully turn that into something that balances the scale for you. And maybe you can get to a place where you have some contentment and happiness, even in spite of the fact that you're having to put up with all of the, you know, crazy BS stuff that comes with being a person. So, I know this isn't necessarily the most positive video, but sometimes, you know, I think, is that a bacteria? It is. Okay, so we'll be able to easily find the bacteria here. Let me get down on the ground, and we'll find the last two of those eventually, if we can find a place to land. So, you know, that's my message for the day. You know, it would be great. I'm sure people with more positive messages is probably going to get a lot more views and things like that. I don't try to bring you positivity. I try to bring you, you know, things that I think work. And maybe they do and maybe they don't. Maybe I'm talking out of my ass. I don't know. But I try to bring you a perspective that I think is realistic. It comes off as negative? A lot of times it probably does. But you know what? There's a lot of negative things in the world, and you're going to have to learn to live with that. And if you can't, you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle to find your way in the world. You're going to struggle to get the things that you want. And you know, I have to say that from the perspective of somebody who's been searching for things my whole life and hasn't really gotten very many of them. Part of it is because I've been one of those people who has had lofty goals that I didn't break down into smaller goals that kept me motivated to keep going, and I gave up. You know, that's one of the things that you have to fight is, you know, feeling like you're not getting anywhere and then giving up on what it is that you're trying to do. I mean, this channel here is one of those things where it's a lofty goal that's very unlikely to actually happen. And it's kind of hard to break it up into something that's small goals. Like right now, my initial goal was, you know, 100 subscribers, and then 250 subscribers, and then 500 subscribers, and then 1,000 subscribers. But the 1,000 subscribers was my big goal because it was the one that unlocked the opportunity to become a YouTube partner and hopefully start making some money at this. And I reached that goal, and then what? What's my next goal after that? Subscriber count after that doesn't really have much of a bearing on the channel, other than just being able to say I have a bunch of subscribers. The metric after that is, you know, making money. But it's not, that's a much more ambiguous goal for me, and I'm not really sure how to break that up into other smaller things. So, you know, I have these periods where I'm struggling a little bit to, you know, be hopeful, but at the same time, I'm trying to remember the perseverance and all of that stuff. And, you know, this is something that I would really like to make work if I can. So I'm putting a little bit more effort and time into it than I otherwise would for most things, because I think it would be really awesome if it turned into a thing for me. So, you know, I don't know where I was trying to go with that. I was mostly just trying to say that I was trying to turn it into a positive thing where I talk about how, you know, one of the things that I've learned is that if you give up on it, then it's 100% that it fails. And that's why I'm continuing to do this, even though it's not really going in the direction that I kind of wish that it would. And, you know, I try to say things in that kind of a way that is realistic and not just a bunch of positive crap that doesn't really help you in any way. You know, you got to try to find the parts of whatever it is that you're doing that give you hope that it can turn into something good. And, you know, that's another thing that requires work and effort. You're just going to have to sit down and do that. So the messages I bring you will always come from a place of, you know, trying to give you things that are hopefully actionable. And maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right, who knows? I'm just trying to give you the best advice I can give you. So anyways, enough of all of that. We're going to go ahead and call this a day. Hopefully you guys had lots of fun. Be sure to click the like button if you did, so that the YouTube algorithm will know, and send the video out to as many people as possible. If you're not a subscriber, please consider doing so now, so that when the next video comes out, it will show up in your feed and you'll be able to watch it as soon as it becomes available. Channel members get early access to all of my content, so be sure to click the join button, check out the list of options available there, and decide if any of those are right for you. If you're not interested in a membership but would like to support the channel, you can always become a member. You can always provide YouTube's version of a tip by clicking that thanks button. Direct contributions are greatly appreciated and a critical component to helping to turn this channel into a full-time gig, which is the dream. So again, thank you very much for your time. Hope you enjoyed the flight. Be sure to come back for the next one, and I'll see you then.